To begin, I just want to point out just 4 different points. Point number 1, as we just mentioned, is that let it be said out loud, and let's make no mistake about it. This is indeed a war of good against evil. And I will tell you, just to make the point, I know you know this already, but I will tell you from a very personal standpoint. My beloved son, Yisrael Mordechai Chaim, right now is in the IDF. He's a paratrooper, he's a sniper in the paratrooper unit of 101. And immediately on October 7th, at about 7:30 a.m., he received a call from his commander. He was in a hotel with his cousin. He was visiting from Florida. They were celebrating Simchat Torah together, the happiest day in the Jewish calendar. And he gets a call again from his commander saying, you have an hour to get to your army base. Take your rifle with you, your uniform with you, take everything you have. Something is happening in the south. We don't exactly know what it is, but we're heading there soon altogether. Be here in an hour. He packed his rifle and immediately went to his army base, and from there, his unit went to the Gaza border. What they saw, no one should ever need to see, ever. Their task was to go from home to home, building to building, and first and foremost, eliminate terrorists and their evil doings. And number 2, to try and evacuate as many Jews, living or not, that they could. Won't go too much into details, but I can tell you that everything that you've heard in the news about the horrors that they performed, these evil terrorists performed, is true. My son saw babies shot in their cribs, decapitated woman on the floor, and he's just 20 years old. For 3 days, he didn't sleep. Didn't sleep for 3 days. For 7 days, he didn't change his clothes, his boots, because every second they had, they wanted a nap. For 7 days, he survived on tuna and peanuts. And for 7 days, he saw horrors that are just unfathomable. He was also injured. When I saw him, I went to Israel about a week after these atrocities, and I was hoping to see him. I said to myself, I'm going to take a risk. Whether I see him or not, that's up to God, but I'm going to do my part. And the day I landed is really the day after he was moved back to his army base after a week in the Gaza border. So I was able to see him just outside of his army base. And I see that he was a little bit injured here. I said to him, Yisrael, what happened to you? He said, look, we were chasing after a terrorist, and I have a friend behind me who had no choice but to throw a grenade at him. So he threw a grenade at him. Unfortunately, the grenade landed a little bit closer to us than we thought. So it eliminated the terrorist, thank God. But a shrapnel from the grenade came and hit me here, and that's why I'm a little bit injured. But I'm just telling you this because, again, to emphasize this point that is, I know is clear to everyone, but this is really a war of good versus pure evil. Evil that wishes not just to destroy us, but to decapitate us, to destroy us in the most torturous ways. And if my son's testimony is not enough, then go ahead. You can now look at the news. You can look at what Stephen Blinken said yesterday about what he heard had happened. And I'm not going to go again into too many graphics. So this war that Israel is fighting is a war that is therefore a war on behalf, not just of Jews, but on behalf of humanity. It is therefore a war that needs to be ending with victory, nothing less, not with a ceasefire or anything else. Because as evil works, if it is just shrinked, it will rise again like a mushroom. It needs to be eradicated. In the words of King David, in Psalm 92, as soon as they rise, we need to uproot them, because if you don't uproot them, then they'll rise again and they'll affect us, and who knows what will be next. So that's the message we need to tell ourselves, and that's the message that we need to share with the world. We can elaborate on that with your questions thereafter. Message number 2, I think what is important for every one of us right now is unity. Nothing is stronger, nothing is more beneficial both to our brothers and sisters in Israel and to our brothers and sisters across the world, than Am Yisrael coming together. I will tell you this, that when I went to the army base to visit my son, as mentioned, I was deeply touched by the unity that I felt in Israel and that I saw in Israel that I don't think I've ever seen in my lifetime. I've lived in Israel. I've been to Israel thousands of times. I've never seen it. I've never felt it the way I felt it now. There were people outside of the army base who set up tent to provide free shawarma and falafel and kebabs and everything to the soldiers. There were chiropractors, physical therapists to set up tents to give free massages to all of these soldiers. There were people who own little stores, makolet, they call them in Israel, to give the soldiers again free food, free cigarettes, free anything that they wanted. That's the unity that was sensed. I will tell you this, I also went to not just visit my son, but I went to Shiva homes, and I went to the Soroka hospital in the south to visit many injured soldiers. What I saw, I could write a book about, or maybe I should write a book about, but the message, the underlying message that I heard from people sitting Shiva to the injured soldiers in the hospital, injured civilians who were injured because of rockets that were launched at them, was one. And that is that with this unity, we will get through this. We personally will get through this through our injuries, through our pain and suffering. And we as a nation will get through this in a victorious way because of this unity. Really, nothing gives us more strength and gives our people more strength than them knowing that we are in this together as one. Ke'ish echad belev echad, like one person with one heart. I'll share with you the story of Rachel Malka Vaknin, who was sitting Shiva. I had the privilege of going to visit her because she lost her only children, twins, who were the producers of that music festival, Osher and Michael Vakni, and they were both shot to death. Rachel Vaknin was widowed a few years ago. So now she's alone in this world, no husband, no children. And it's interesting because I have another friend who, his name is Shmuel Toledano, and I was telling him the story, and he says, oh, the Vaknins, they are my childhood friends. In fact, Osher and Michael Vaknin invited me to the music festival. He lives here, by the way, but invited me to the music festival. I'll send you a screenshot of their invitation. And he sends me a screenshot of the invitation to the music festival. I'll show it to you right here. It's just quite amazing. But what's heart-wrenching is not just, here's the screenshot of the text with Osher Vaknin. You can see Osher Vaknin. This is the invitation to the music festival. I'll show it to the people here on YouTube. And at the bottom, he texted him on October 7th. He says to Osher Vaknin, this is again his friend, I know, Mama Tzavachi, how are you doing? Osher Yachakau, 3 question marks, he's not answering. And then again, another question marks, again not answering. Because as we know now, he was murdered. Now, Rachel Vaknin, as she's sitting Shiva, you can see she's visibly just completely broken. And she tells me, Ani levad, nisharti levad. I've been left alone in this world. And then she looks at the hundreds of people who were there. Most of them didn't even know the Vaknins. But she says, but when I see this, when I see Am Yisrael like this, I know I'm not alone. That in of itself was really so powerful because the truth of those words resonate deeply. I'll tell you the story also just to make one more point about unity. And we'll move to the 2 additional points. But I'll tell you the story of Shalev Shlomi Best. By the way, I just spoke with him this morning. I'm still in touch with him. This is a soldier that I did not know. I went to visit injured soldiers at the Soroka hospital in Beersheba when I was there 2 weeks ago. And one of the rooms I walked into was the room of Shalev Shlomi Best. Shalev Shlomi Best is truly a remarkable hero. I'm going to show you a picture of his. And show you a picture of his in full uniform. But Shalev Shlomi Best, yeah, this is the man. I don't know if you can see him. This is Shalev Shlomi Best. Shalev Shlomi Best. And he's sitting in the hospital. And I, immediately asked him, what happened to you? And he tells me that he's part of this elite police force called the Hamas in Israel. And he also received a call early in the morning on October 7th from his commander saying, hey, you have to go to this city in the south called Ofakim, because we hear that there's terrible things happening. We don't exactly know what, but we know that the situation is not pretty. So he was in pajamas, but he immediately got dressed, took his pistol, put it right here in his hip, and took his car and drove all the way to Ofakim. He gets to Ofakim, he hears gunshots. So he goes to the streets where those gunshots are coming from. He comes to the street and he sees a soldier that froze in place, just out of shock. He was frozen. So Shalev tells the soldier, hey, I'm grabbing your rifle. You're obviously not using it, but get out of here. Go away. Go find some safety. He takes the soldier's rifle and immediately starts shooting at those terrorists who were at the end of that street. He, Baruch Hashem, was able to eliminate 2 of them, but there's a 3rd one he did not see. That 3rd one came from nowhere. And this 3rd one shot Shalev in the back. He had 2 bullets in the back. 1 bullet in his foot that was shattered to pieces. He showed me pictures this morning. It's just, he's going through hell. And 1 bullet that was shot at his hip. But remember what was there? His pistol, right? The rifle of the soldier he was using. So he did not use his pistol. His pistol was shot at. And thank God his pistol was there because it blocked the bullet. I'm going to show you this. I'm not making this up. I'm going to show you. Yeah, this Shalev. He sent me the pictures of the bullet hitting the pistol with the hole in the pistol. I don't know if you can see it. You see this hole here in the pistol? Well, that's the hole of the pistol. You see that that shows that the bullet was blocked. And thank God he said it was there, because if not, I wouldn't be here speaking with you. But so I'm speaking to Shalev. We put the tefillin together and we are staying in touch, and he's truly a hero, and what he has to go through now to recover is just unimaginable. But I'm telling the story last week on Thursday morning to my students at Pardes Jewish Day School, where I teach a few hours a week. And they immediately say, like good, innocent children, can we call him? Can we video conference him? So I said, yeah, sure. Let me see. I texted Shalev, can I call you here with my students? He said, I just got out of the shower, but yeah, sure. So we called him. And Shalev is on the board speaking to my students who are telling him, Refuah Shalema, full and speedy recovery. And then he says to me like this, I'm so touched by this, that please tell your students, Shani ohev otam meod, that I love them very much, and that I would do this all over again and get injured the way I got injured all over again, just to save one of them. And I'm saying to myself, look, isn't that really the strength of our nation, of Am Yisrael being so united as one, with such heroes that feel the love, and such students who share that love too? That's really the essence of our strength. So that's point number 2. We have to be united regardless of what you like or dislike in others. And that unity, by the way, starts in our inner circles, with our own families, with our own friends. That's where it starts. It's easy to be united with someone you never met. It's easy. What about the people who you met and you know and you don't like? Much harder. But that's where it starts. And that's really what gives us strength. Number 3, I also know that many of us think that we are hopeless or helpless. And we are sitting here in Arizona, glued to the news, maybe a little bit too much. And we think to ourselves that, oh, okay, wow, yes, the soldiers are heroes. They're fighting for us. And everyone in Israel is fighting for us and doing what they can. But what can we possibly do here sitting in our couch in Scottsdale, Arizona? But I want to tell you that, no, you're completely wrong if that's the way you're thinking. There's a lot you can do. There's a ton you can do. And I'm just going to share just a few things. Number 1, you can pray. An hour saying the book of Psalms, or a few chapters from the book of Psalms, is, I can promise you, much more effective than an hour watching CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, or whatever you watch. an hour doing a mitzvah in order to arm our nation with spiritual weapons that they need, because eventually, as we said, this is a war of good versus evil. And every good deed that we do is accumulated with the goodness that others do, and that eventually expel this evil, is as effective as could be. So an hour of doing mitzvahs will expel eventually this darkness. Number 3, there are so many great organizations that you can help and support, volunteer for, or even support financially. I'm not going to endorse one over the other. Baruch Hashem, there are many. You can talk to Mindy Franklin here in the back, who leads Rally Volunteers for Israel, an amazing thing that you can get involved with. But there are also others. So please do that again instead of watching news. Number 4, I would also encourage everyone in their own social network. I know we try to influence the macro, but it starts with the micro. Influence public opinion. There's so many lies and distorted pieces of information that are being thrown out there. You can influence just one person, whether it's someone you know at work, or whether it's someone that you just met at Fry's supermarket. Who knows? But every voice of truth helps expel this lie or these lies. So there are many things that one can do. And on a communal level, I do want to invite everybody. I know that there's a massive event at the City Council on Friday afternoon, which will, I think, also have dignitaries, right? I think the governor's coming and others. And this event is really to put out a cry to release the hostages and to support Israel. Yes, Mindy. Right. Technically, it's starting at 3:40 until 5. Amazing. Okay, very good. So that's one event. I want to invite everyone to the event we're having right here on Sunday at 5:30 p.m. We too will have dignitaries. I hope the governor will also join us. And previous governors, Governor Ducey might be here too. We'll have a special message from President Herzog to our community too. And we'll have prayers, and we'll also have special presentations. We're doing it on Sunday night also because Sunday night marks the Shloshim, 30 days since the massacre of October 7th, since the passing of over 1,400 Jews, innocent Jews. So it's an important date also spiritually, mystically, and certainly Jewishly. So please come, and then please share the idea that to all men that you know, that year on Sunday morning during our minyan, we are having an event called Wrap for Israel, WRAP, for men to come and wear tefillin. Tefillin have a special power of protection for our brothers and sisters. So please spread the word also. We'll have a delicious breakfast. Everyone is welcome too. So please join us for that. So yes, so women are more than welcome, absolutely. And there'll be also mezuzahs, by the way, for we'll raffle mezuzahs and tefillin too. So please come for that too. That's at 8 a.m. 8 a.m. Tefillah is at 8 a.m. Prayer is at 8 a.m. And then breakfast probably around 9. But anyway, there are many community events that you can engage in, that you should engage in. Let's be as action-oriented as possible. I do want to share with you the story that I've shared before of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Schneerson of blessed memory, who in 1973 was visited by the chief rabbi of Tel Aviv, then Rabbi Lau. Rabbi Yisrael Meir Lau, who eventually became the chief rabbi of Israel. And this was shortly after the Yom Kippur War, which was a devastating war for Israel on many levels. And the Rebbe wanted to know what the mood is like in the streets of Israel. So he asked Rabbi Lau, how do the Jews feel in Israel? What's the mood like? And Rabbi Lau said, well, the mood can be condensed in one question that everyone is asking. What's the question? The question is, Ma ihyeh, what will be? And the Rebbe became very serious, and he grabbed Rabbi Am's arm, and he said to him, Rabbi Lau, that's not a Jewish question. The Jewish question is, Ma naaseh, what are we going to do? Not what will be. What are we going to do? And that should be the approach. I know we're sitting across the TV screens, and we say, oh, what's going to be, what's going to be, what's going to be. Well, do something about it. What are we going to do? What's going to be will turn you into passive potatoes. What are we going to do will turn you into active Jews that certainly can benefit our brothers and sisters in Israel, and help win this war. That's one second to last point. The last point I want to make, and then again, I'm happy to open this up. But the last point I want to make is that every single day in our prayer, in our morning prayer, we speak about God and we speak to God. One of the things we speak about God is that we say that He is Baal Milchamot, Zorah Tzedakot. He is the one who leads wars. Baal Milchamot, Zorah Tzedakot, and He plants seeds of justice. We also speak to God directly in the Amidah prayer, in which we ask God for strength and for peace and for victory of good over evil. Why am I saying this? Because I think this is also a time to strengthen our faith in God. I know many people have anxieties, and trust me, I have a son right now in Gaza. I know exactly what that means. But Hashlech al Hashem Yahavcha, as King David says in the book of Psalms, sometimes we have to know how to give it over to the higher power, as the 12-step program says, and know that there is a God at the end of the day, that He's the creator of every human being, the creator of every aspect of this world, and we have to trust in Him and pray to Him that He will do what is best for every single one of us, and He will ensure that this war ends with a true victory of good over evil. Sometimes that's all we can do, and then sometimes it's all we need to do. Moments in which you are in your shower crying, moments in which you are driving down the highway asking yourself what will be, and you can't really do anything because you're driving down the highway and you have to be careful. Unlike Moshe Dayan, you only have one eye. He was once caught speeding, and a policeman pulled him over. Said, Moshe Dayan, you were caught speeding 30 miles over the speed limit. Moshe Dayan says, look, I only have one eye. Do you want me to look at the speedometer, or do you want me to look at the street? So sometimes we only have one eye or two eyes, and we can't really do anything outside of the car. We could. And then we filled with anxieties. Well, let's speak to God. Those are times in which we say, God, we trust you. We have emunah and bitachon. We have belief and faith in you. And we hope that you can really finally turn the tide and make sure that evil is completely eradicated and that goodness wins without any harm to our people, without any casualties. That's a point that I think we really need to include in our day-to-day, especially during these trying times. All right, let's open this up to the questions. Yes.
Real quick, so I used to have my resort check. What's the best way, and I think maybe everybody should do that. What's the best way to do it? Can you give us a name?
Yes, absolutely. So what I can do is I'll share it to Janet and you can share it to the group. Yes, the question, that's right, for the YouTube year. So the question was, how can we have a mezuzah check, which is, by the way, a very important mitzvah to do during these times. Mezuzah is also a source of protection. That's one of the main reasons we have a mezuzah on a doorpost. So to check them, to make sure that protection is completely immune to anything. So there are sofrim, that's what they call scribes, that check mezuzahs. I'll send the name to Janet, and you can send it to them.
The next question I have is, obviously I've been doing a lot of looking. So I actually have a friend from Israel here, and we were talking this morning, and she's telling me that, well, we're so divided in Israel, we work to that, the same old stuff. Well, how should I answer that to her?
What is she saying? I don't understand.
She said that the people of Israel are still divided.
I don't agree with that. Kana is saying, again, I'm going to repeat your point, that you have a friend that says that the people of Israel are still divided. You know the great story of the bird? Remember the story of the bird? Story of the bird, who wherever it went, it stunk. Everywhere it went, it says it stinks here, it stinks here. And for 5 years, it was looking for a good place to be, so that where it could smell well, could have good odor, but couldn't find it. Traversed the oceans and mountains. Finally, after 5 years, the bird realizes that he had a rotten piece of apple right here. So people who feel division, especially in times like this, where unity is so clear, maybe they just have a rotten piece of apple right here. The division is within themselves. I don't know if you can say that to her, but I would just say, well, move your thoughts elsewhere because they're not helping anybody.
And real quick,
Yeah.
so when you give Janet the information,
Mm-hmm.
is there any way we can have a list of something of the prayers? You know, we have the CDT, we have the everyday we all pray, and we have the
Yeah. Some psalms that people can say. Yes, I'll send some psalms to Janet for everyone to include. Yeah, very good idea. Absolutely. Yes. Rashid Talib, yeah. No, it was canceled now.
It was canceled.
Thank God.
Yeah.
It was canceled. Thank God.
Oh.
Well, there were a lot of pressure of many Jews. Yes, Jetty. Yes, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. Baruch Hashem. Thank you. Yes. For the corporation, I spoke to the owner. Yeah. Yeah. Thank God it got canceled. Yeah. Okay. Any other points, questions? Yes, Janet.
You sent me some of the prayers. Can you include a prayer for the IDF soldier?
Absolutely. Yes.
Also, I received one, I should actually show you, from Sarah City that she got from the rabbi in the UK, which was a Shabbat prayer that was specifically, you say it on Shabbat, and it was specifically for the IDF.
Yes. Yeah.
So
I'd
like to send
okay.
that as well.
A great idea. Fine. I know what. Yeah. Please send it. Yes. Excellent. Let's send that too. You know what? Do me a favor, Janet. Just send me. I'm not going to remember. Send me that list, and I'll make sure to send you all those prayers. Thank you. Yes, Amy. Yeah. There's a psalm for that. Right. That's what it's called. There's a psalm for it. I have it. Yeah. Right. There's a song for that. It's a South African app, by the way, from Rabbi Masinter. Yeah. Right. Right. Yes. Yeah. Yes, Geraldine. Yes.
Sure.
Right.
He was proud until this happened. He was proud since he teaches there. He said, I was proud to get my MSW from going, but now I'm trying my this is
good for him. Yeah. I think I know what you're referring to, the Israeli professor, right? Yes. Shai, what's his name? Shai. Yes. Yeah, it's a great letter. Thank you. Okay, so Geraldine is asking, how do we address the rampant anti-Semitism on college campuses these days? We have kids ourselves on colleges. I have many students on college campuses. In fact, I have a dear student. I was in New Orleans last week. And yes, and 2 days later, she sends me a video from this terrible violence, just pure evil violence of so-called pro-Palestinians towards Jews at Tulane University. I don't know if you saw the video or not, but I've received multiple videos from there and from other places. So how do you address that? That's a good question. I'm gonna tell you what I tell my students, and it boils down to 3 points. Number one, and this is what I just told her, Alexa Earnhardt, some of you may know her. When my house is on fire and my children are in danger, I will focus on my home, I will focus on my children and lead them to safety. What the neighbors are saying or what they're not saying, I couldn't care less. My neighbors think that I'm not saving them properly. I don't care. I'm doing everything I could to save my family from this burning fire. I know that there's a lot of fear on college campuses Fear that can paralyze our students. But the message to our students should be, focus on your home, focus on the actions that we spoke about, focus on supporting Israel, focus on your own brothers and sisters within and without. Our home is on fire right now. That should be where all of our energy is focused on. What they're saying, what they're not saying, who gives a hoot? Those are the neighbors that want to complain, let them complain. Let's focus, let's not let that fear paralyze our action from within, action that is so vital to save our family from this burning home. That's number one. Number two, I know there are questions. Should I walk with my kippah? Should I walk with my Star of David? Should I be a proud Jew out there, or maybe I should hide my Jewishness? I will tell you, as a Jew who grew up in France, you grew up in France too. In France, that for the past 25 years is a country that hasn't been so kind to Jews, to put it lightly. I, at the age of 7 years old, was attacked in a park, just playing on a slide, by this guy, dirty Jew, 14-year-old kid, dirty Jew. I was 7, dirty Jew. He hit me, and I hit him back, and should see what happened to him. But and ever since, I've had that question as a Jew, again, growing up in France. Should I be proud? Should I not be proud? I will tell you from personal experience that hiding your Jewishness won't help you for 2 reasons. They'll hate you anyway, and they'll find you anyway. So hiding it very, very rarely helps. You think it helps. But number two, that's exactly what they want to achieve. They want us to lower our Judaism, to extinguish our Judaism. And therefore, the best response is to do the exact opposite, to increase it. Now, does that mean that we'll immediately have them run away? No. What it does mean is that they still won't like us, but maybe they'll finally respect us. Because those who respect themselves are respected by others. Those who disrespect themselves are eventually also disrespected by others. So we have to stand, as hard as it is, we have to stand proud, and we have to even be more Jewish, if there's such a thing, especially in times like these. That's number two. And number three, I wouldn't hesitate also to, in addition to all, to saving our home, like we said, and being proud Jews and cultivating their Jewishness from within, I wouldn't hesitate also to use every mean in our power, from calling the police, to getting lawyers involved, to writing letters to the university professors and directors and presidents, and do everything in our power to try and squash those forces. Thank God, here in America, I still believe that we live in a country of democracy. It's still the best hope, as I think Lincoln put it. And we still have some hope that that war may be won by true democracy. So I would also try and work on that level. But those are the 3 points I tell my students, and I think that's really the only way to deal with this. Okay, yes, Hannah.
So I was at the airport and I had 2 very interesting experiences. I read Hebrew. So I was reading Hebrew, and I don't take this song. And this man sitting next to me, he turns to me, he was leaving, and he shakes my hand and said, "Oh, shalom." And I said, "How did you know I was Israeli Jewish?" And he says, "Because you were reading Hebrew." And then he says to me, I was in tears, he said, "I'm not Jewish, but I want to wish you all the best."
Very good.
And he gave
Right.
me a hug. And then coming home from my trip, there was a couple with a child, Orthodox, obviously from New York, I didn't know. So I went out to them, I became very shy. So I went out to them and I said, "I just want to tell you that, I'm Israeli and I feel terrible." As it turns out, the man is from New York. He knows where, and I told him about you, he knows you, of course, and he knows where by Whiskey. And then I was talking to them and I was like in tears because it just like, and his wife gave me a hug and we were both
Right.
crying because
Right.
such a, here I am at the airport and I see other Jews, and
Right.
you can tell obviously because he was, I don't even know who it is, but he was the Briskies from
Right.
Europe.
But I want to emphasize the first point you made. I think that's also an important point to remember, that by being proud Jews, we will also, I think, rally in many ways all the pro-Jewish people out there. I can tell you, it's happened to me countless times now. At Fry's supermarket, someone out of nowhere stopped me and said, I hope you guys finish the job this time. And then I was at Chaparral. The other day, Chaparral High School right here, and someone, like a big guy, comes and says, can I walk you out? I said, yes, as long as you don't beat me up. So he walked out. He says, I just want you to know I support the Jewish people. I support what you're doing in Israel. Keep up the good fight. And then the gas station, I mean, I can tell many, many stories, but I walk proudly with my kippah and my tzitzit. And it, in a way, rallies all of the good, silent, dormant sometimes, good forces outside, and ensures that we gather and galvanize many, many friends for us also. Right.
Thinking that they were hiding. Did
Right.
they do an identity to hide from the Nazis?
No, that's what I said. They'll find you anyway. Right.
So
Right.
we have to be proud Jews.
Right. Yes, Irene. Mm. Wow. Irene is telling the story. I'm going to repeat it. Yeah. Right. No, that's a beautiful story. And I would encourage that a lot. That's beautiful. That's right. We shouldn't be afraid. Just like Irene's husband who put on tefillin in the middle of what? Fashion Square Mall, you said? Oh, at the Biltmore. At the Biltmore Mall. That's right. The Biltmore. And someone put tefillin on him. And here he was, proudly, even with some other Arabs there. Oh, oh. Yeah, I'm sure I know he is. Yeah. Wonderful. Wonderful. Yes, Mindy. Right. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Wow. Hmm. Wow. Powerful. Very good. I'm just saying it again because of the YouTube year, but Mindy sharing stories about volunteers who dropped everything and joined your organization to go and help our brothers and sisters in Israel, from physicians to other types of people. Well done. Well done. Okay. Yes, Hilly. Please.
I think that you might know specifically.
Yes.
But the Israelis must be experts at helping people live in conflict. And so these young kids and they're going down. And I'm wondering, if you just go to workers and psychologists, how are these people being dealt with from now and maybe for many years?
Right.
That how are they getting healed, or how are they
Right.
getting, what is the track?
So first of all, I think that many of them, like my son, who, as mentioned, saw horrors beyond description. When I spoke with him, yeah, I'm going to repeat the question. Are there any organization? How are all these kids who saw the greatest horrors in recent Jewish history dealing with all the trauma? I will tell you that when I spoke to my son, when I saw my son 2 weeks ago, again, the day after he came back from the Gaza border, I asked him that question, and he said, look, Abba, don't speak to me about this now. I'm in war mode. And that's true with all of his friends too. They're in war mode. They're as laser focused as possible now. They're not equipped. They don't have the time also to deal now with the trauma. After the war, it will be a big question. But I do know already of organizations. I've received emails from people saying, we want to help both my son and people in his group. So I think there will be quite a few organizations. I will tell you that the way to deal with trauma also is not just psychologically, but I think also spiritually. And I will share with you very personally what I told my son, who again saw the greatest horrors one could see. He told me, for example, that the contrast when he walked into the homes of these poor Jewish innocent civilians whose homes were ransacked, who were butchered to death. When he walked into some of these homes and he saw the contrast between a half-full bottle of beer that was drunk by these evil terrorists, because after they massacred who they could massacre, they would sit down and take a beer out of the fridge and just drink beer. A half-full bottle of beer on the table, and the blood of innocent children on the floor was just again unimaginable. But I also told my son, and this is what I really believe, and this is the spiritual way of looking at things too, that is that I know you saw horrors. I know you saw many of these bodies in the worst state possible, but I want you to know that the souls of these bodies are thanking you, and they are with you, and they're with you eternally, and they'll go with you into Gaza, and they'll go with you into the other challenges you'll have in life. Because if not for you, they would have been left abandoned. So they are thanking you for finding them and giving them a dignified burial. And these souls are there as your advocates in heaven. So every time you have this flash with all these terrible scenes of bodies, just remember, you're not just seeing bodies, you should be seeing souls. And I hope that gives you comfort too. And he did say that it did. So I think there's a spiritual way of attending to it even now. Yes. Right. Right. There are, that's right. Yeah, Irene's saying that there are many initiatives like that in Ra'anana. It's true. I have a friend who deals with it for Mevorach, who have set up stands and offices to deal with trauma to help these soldiers deal with their trauma. Yes, Joe.
Speaking of all the trauma and horror that your son saw, and they have that horrible video that they took off the dead terrorists that the journalists saw. But do you think that's something that should be shared with the world or not?
It depends. I mean, I think that Israel was wise to show it to the world in order to dispel these lies and to show the world that indeed, as mentioned, that this is a war against evil. Question was, sorry, I forgot to repeat the question. Question was whether it's wise to show these horrors to the world. Right. So they showed the journalists, which I think was very wise from their part. I think as individuals, we shouldn't. I personally, I saw 1 minute of that video and I couldn't watch it more. I don't think we should because of this point. I'll share with you another story. I have a good friend whose name is Yehuda, who works for Zaka. Zaka is the organization that identifies bodies. And they've never seen anything like this. There's been many terrorist attacks, unfortunately, in Israel in the past 75 years. Never seen anything like this, ever. And for 2 weeks, he's been working tirelessly on identifying bodies, babies who were burnt, and I'm not going to get into that. And I asked him, what gave you the strength to wake up in the morning to continue to do this work tirelessly? And he said to me, look, these evil terrorists, they tried to turn names into numbers. I'm trying to turn numbers back into names. That's what gives me the strength. And in many ways, seeing these movies can turn names into numbers. That's what's left. That's just the way our minds work. So I don't think it's healthy. Now, yes, to dispel lies, yeah, extreme measures should be used, but not for us. Yes, Hannah. Saturday night. They don't have their phones.
We don't.
No. Yes.
No, big question.
When was the last time I was in touch with my son? Saturday night. Yeah.
Is he in Gaza on the ground or is he?
It's in Gaza, on the ground, on rooftops. I don't know where, but yeah. Yes, Geraldine.
Where?
I don't know if my gut feeling counts. I do hope that they're okay. I do feel like they're okay, most of them at least. I think the ones who went in injured, severely injured, maybe or not. But let's continue to pray for them. That's what we can do. I don't know. I know as much as you do, but I do know that the soldier, that hostage, was completely surrounded. She was surrounded by terrorists, and they put soldiers at risk in order to go and save her. And Baruch Hashem, even miraculously, they were able to get her. Yes.
I heard Oscar.
Good for you. Well done.
And he said, I'm getting very positive feedback.
Mm.
One of the case people wanted information where I got a shirt from.
Mm.
I got strangers come up to me. A lot of people.
Right.
I had strangers come up to me and say, and it was something.
Beautiful. Right.
I think there's a person who's yeah, sure.
Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael Chai, that's the shirt. I stand with Israel. And you've received many good comments.
I worked there.
Right.
It's a person in Queen Creek, and I don't got that because I couldn't get it back. But she'll mail them. She's charging $80. She's like in the teacher business. I'm gonna, you know what? You give it to me and then.
Yes. And by the way, there are t-shirts like that on Amazon too, I've seen. So beautiful. On Amazon too, you can find t-shirts like that.
Well,
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't want to emphasize that I was giving money to China. And she's giving, she's not taking any profit. She's in the business.
Fantastic. Good. So send the info. Yeah.
She's not taking any profit. She's donating all of her proceeds. And, so she'll just mail them. She'll mail them. $80 for the shirt, she'll mail them. And she'll send multiple shirts for that.
Oh,
I'll send everybody.
yeah. I don't know if they could hear her. But I'll make the point that, yes, thank you for showing your t-shirt of Am Yisrael Chai. And it's one of the great displays that we should be displaying these days. Again, being proud Jews. Beautiful. Right. Good. All right. Let me, yes, Hannah. Yeah, we.
T-shirts that say from the river. I don't know where the t-shirts.
Okay, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So they ask people to make phone calls to Amazon. And you know, I don't want to mention the name, but you know, we know a very good person from Shul that works for Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent a text this morning and I said, please take it off. So these are the things.
Okay, good. That's right. Okay, I'm going to conclude this with a story. So while I was in Israel, as mentioned, I went to some Shiva homes. Another Shiva home, we spoke about Rachel Malka Vaknin. Another Shiva home I went to was the Shiva home of two sisters. One who's 26 years old, one who's 23 years old. And I have a sister who's right in the middle. She's 24 years old. They went to the music festival, and that 24-year-old sister was murdered in front of them. The 23-year-old not only saw her sister murdered in front of her, but she also saw her fiancé who was with her murdered in front of her. If that is not enough, she also got shot by the terrorist. She had one bullet in her leg, one bullet in her arm. She was able to run away and hide in a forest for 4 hours. She attended to a wood and she had to shout in silence. She was in pain, but she couldn't shout. So she had to shout in silence. After 4 hours, she hears an IDF soldier speaking Hebrew, and then she says to him, Atzilu, Atzilu. And he sees her hiding, and he evacuates her, and she went to the hospital. And the day after, I had the privilege of seeing her, but she wasn't released to some hotel to recover. She was released to sit Shiva and mourn for her sister and her fiance. I'm there sitting with her and a 26-year-old sister. And they started speaking to each other. They felt very comfortable. And one of them says to the other, look, our sister's name was Ortel, the one that was murdered. I have reserved this name already for my daughter. And the 23-year-old sister responds, no, 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 I reserved it for my daughter. Now, understand, both of them are not married. Okay, the one just lost a fiance, they're not even dating. But they're already speaking about their children. And then one of them said, you know what, fine, you keep Ortal, I'll take the name Tal-Or. I'll just take the 2 syllables and switch them around, Tal-Or. And then the same one, the 23-year-old says, I also like the name Meshi. And I want to name my son Meshi, so you better not take that name. And I'm saying it's so beautiful because here are 2 sisters who saw what no one should ever see and lost their sister, and one of them lost their fiance, and one of them suffering from pain because she was shot in her leg and in her arm by evil terrorists. And instead of wallowing in their pain and being dragged by the shackles of the past, they are focusing what? On the future, on Am Yisrael Chai. If they can do it, friends, we surely can also. Thank you so much.